What is up, guys? I do hope you're well, and welcome back to another episode of Entitled Parents. If you are new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe button, and maybe even the notification bell. Now let's get straight back into it. EP gets mad there's nothing vegan to eat at a barbecue restaurant. Backstory: I worked at a barbecue restaurant from when I was 12 to 20. My parents owned it. I did everything from dishes, bussing, orders, food prep, alcohol, etc. I've done it all. Where I lived, the summer was the craziest. During every other season, it was dead. The summers were all the crazies and stressed out tourists. Met some amazing people as well. Taking orders, I've seen, heard it all. I get it, if people have had a bad day, they cannot be as forgiving. However, this isn't an excuse to be an ass. EP, entitled witch. K, entitled witch's kid. Me, and D, my dad. Scene 1. Blistering hot day. Line was out the door. This was a fast, casual way you ordered at a counter. Everyone was running around trying to do 100 tasks at once. I was working the cash register and taking orders. Enter EP and S. Hi, how are you doing? EP kind of brushes me off. Fine. What can I get started for you today? Can my son and I see the vegan menu, please? Side note, keep in mind the menu was right behind my head, with every item clearly displayed. I'm sorry, Mum, we actually don't have a vegan menu. But do you have any questions about other items? Well, what can I get here that's vegan? Last side note, I'm actually a vegan as well. I know, working in a barbecue restaurant as a vegan, but I've lost the taste after working there for so long. So I can understand how it can be frustrating going places and not being able to find things to eat, other than some lettuce scraps. But at least I'm not going into places where I know I can't get anything in the first place. She also wasn't standing with her husband or anyone else who looked like was going to order and may have brought them along with her. They were alone. Really, the only thing we have is a side salad, and we could do that without croutons. Everything is made with meat and dairy cooked in it. Well, we don't want salad. We want something barbecued. Me, kind of stumped. I'm sorry, but that's the only vegan it. Throwing her hands up and raising her voice. Well, what are we supposed to eat? Absolutely ridiculous that you cannot cater to those who are vegan, vegetarian, etc. I'm so sorry, it's just that we're a barbecue place that specialises in... Let me speak to the manager. At this point, the line is freakishly long behind her and people are starting to stare and give her a what the fuck look. I go to grab my dad, who was unloading stuff from the suppliers, and told him what was going on, so he's already annoyed with the situation and knowing there's nothing he can do to help. Hi, I heard there was an it. We are paying customers, and it's ridiculous that you have nothing available for my son and I to eat. You are cutting a whole group of people as paying customers, blah 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 blah. Now my dad is really accommodating and nice with customers, but press him and he will not be kind. Mum, I'm sorry you feel this way, however, you walked into a barbecue restaurant. We serve barbecue, we're not a vegan place and don't claim to be. If you want vegan food, there's a great place down the street I can point the way to. The sign outside says barbecue, ribs, brisket, etc. That's what we sell. And to walk into some place demanding a service product that we don't advertise is on you. Now, we can make you up a big side salad and you can enjoy our patio, but if you're going to yell at my daughter and disturb the peace of the other customers, then I suggest the restaurant down the street. EP screeching. How dare you talk to me like that? Who do you think you are? We are never coming here again. You'll hear about it on Yelp. I'd like to speak to the owner. He will hear about this. I am the owner. At this point, EP kind of screams insults and then storms out the door. My dad then called the owner of the vegan place down the street, his friend, and let him know who may be coming his way. I got back to working and every customer who came up afterwards that was behind her just shit talked her with me. Never saw a Yelp review. She gives vegans a bad rep. Then everyone clapped. Just kidding. Why? Why would you go to a barbecue restaurant that clearly says brisket and ribs and stuff on the side outside and then demand vegan food? I mean, come on, man. The place must stink of meat as well. That kid is going to end up a junkie like her mother. My child deserves the win. Backstory: I grew up in foster care. My foster care at the time of this story was very involved in the school community and regularly liked to tell parents of my peers all about how I ended up in foster care and how hard I was to deal with. Yeah, she wasn't that great. I was in year 4 at this point, either 9 or 10, and I was quite good at sports, but swimming especially. My birth mother had been a surf lifesaver, and before everything went belly up for her, and my brothers and I were removed from her care. We spent every day in the water and learned to swim a length of the pool before we could walk. Our story is set at the annual school swimming carnival. I had done 2 races and won them both, and up next was the 50-metre freestyle. Ended up crushing it and coming first by a few body lengths. I was catching my breath and taking my goggles off when the kid who came second touched the wall. Enter EM. She was watching from the sidelines and made a beeline for my sports teacher, ST, who was holding a stopwatch for my lane. I didn't hear the first part of the convo. This is the first bit I heard. No, my child clearly came first. I'm sorry, but she really didn't. She did. It was too close to call. I think you should really give my daughter first place. She didn't come first. She came second. She won it fair and square. Fair and square? You know what sort of child she is? She probably cheated. How did she cheat? We watched them all start at the exact same time. I'm sorry, but she came first. Does it even matter if she came first? She's going to end up a whore junkie like her mother. My daughter deserved to go to zone, not her. For those unfamiliar with Australian sports school, zone is the next level, where you compete with other schools. ST calls over the deputy principal, who was going around to the teachers who were timing to get the final timings. Mrs. Teacher, your daughter came second. Second still qualifies for zone, and that is a truly awful thing to say. I'm sorry, but we're going to have to ask you to leave the complex. We don't tolerate language like that at our school, and we won't allow it here. Mrs. EP, please grab your belongings and follow me. You are taking this child's side. We've all heard the stories. We know this girl is never going to become anything. Why should she get first place? My daughter wants to compete professionally. She deserves to come first. DP and ST don't reply, and just try to lead her towards the exit. No, I'm not leaving. I'm going to watch my daughter compete. I will not have you treat me this way. My husband will hear about this, and you will regret this. She throws herself on the seat in the grandstand. Mrs. EP, we really need you to leave. For your daughter's sake, please don't make a scene. I remember looking over to her daughter's lane and seeing the poor girl crying, looking down at her feet into the pool to avoid everyone's gaze. I'm doing this for my daughter. She deserves to win, not this piece of shit kid that no one cares about. She's not worth anything. My daughter will win at zone and will become Commonwealth swimmer, and you will be both trying to strip that away from her. DP and ST, along with the other parents sitting next to her, end up dragging her off. I can't remember what she was screaming, but I remember it being unpleasant. Her daughter apologised to me the next day. We were pretty close friends, until I had to move a year later, when that foster placement broke down. PS, I used EM's words to fuel me and I won every single race that day, but the 50-metre butterfly. I still remember these words to this day, and I still use them to fuel me. Ended up graduating high school, getting a scholarship to a prestigious uni in Australia, landing an epic job straight after graduation, and I've got my own business. Not an MLM. That I'm crushing. So jokes on you, EM. Fair play to you though. It sounds like the kid had a rough upbringing, which is a bit of a shame. But obviously they're killing it now, so good on you. EM calls his son to commit suicide. Story from Korea. So yeah, here's another story from Korea. I'm not purposely bashing my country of origin. It's just these types of stories happen to come from Korea. It is well known China, Korea, Japan and other Asian countries hold a high regard for one's education. Attending high tier universities is minimal, and anyone who stopped after middle high school is considered uncultured, stupid or other nasty names. This means brutal study schedules, learning subjects that are beyond comprehension for age, learning calc in middle school, and trying to decide which college to get in during elementary. Now most parents pushes their children for a better future, to have them live a life they couldn't, or to have them live in comfort for the rest of their children's lives. But sometimes they push children because they must continue the legacy of a high income family, or to have them as trophy children, as in their children's accomplishment is for their fame and satisfy their ego. Now in Korea, every HS exams are unified, meaning everyone takes the same exam suited for their year. So all freshmen take the math exam, science exam, English, etc. And the same for juniors and seniors. The grade is made public so parents and students can see everyone from first place to last. This adds unnecessary competition, especially from parents. Our story is about one of the craziest parents. There was a mum of a teenage boy who pretty much tried to shape his son into a vision of perfection. Her husband hasn't been home for years, after getting the family into huge debt after stupidly falling for investment fraud. At first, Ian pushed her son so he can have a better future. However, as time went on, she became obsessed with her son's success, treating it as her own. Her son wasn't allowed to listen to music, play games or participate in sports because in her mind, they were holding him back. This caused her son to become a loner and subject of being bullied. The son was to report on everything he was doing and where he was. After school, he was forced to spend hours at a tutoring centre, longer than any other high school students, coming home around 12 AM each night, study more around 3, go to sleep and wake up at 6. Now the son was a HS senior, and during midterm he managed to land 10th place out of 300 plus students, which is an amazing accomplishment, but the EM wasn't having any of that. Why is it so low? Are you trying to disappoint me? I told to do better. What were you doing the whole time? This put immense pressure and stress on the poor kid. He was now pretty much surveillance 24/7 by EM, and EM cut off all forms of communication from family and little amounts of friends the kid had. After a month or two, it is time for final exams. This time, he lands 3rd place. Surely this would make EM happy, the kid thought. What he got from EM was, "You call this accomplishment? That's nothing to be proud of. How will I face my family now? You're an embarrassment. You have to take care of me after university and when I get old, not the other way around. You know my friend is bragging about her son being 1st place. Why can't I have a son like her?" The kid had enough. He had no self-esteem, no goals in life and no ambitions for anything other than pleasing EM. He was now down to 2 hours of sleep. On the day of Korea's version of SAT, EM all of a sudden was nice to her son, treating him with a huge breakfast. "I believe in you, son." The son looked at her in disbelief, anger and sadness. A few days later, he was found dead, hanging himself in his room. Taped to his body was a report of his score, a perfect score that would have got him into any university he chose, with a note that simply said, "Mum, are you happy now?" EM was shamed by the public, her family disowned for pushing their nephew-grandson to that point, and her husband returned to see his son dead and gave her a well-deserved slap across the face, saying, "I may have failed as a husband and father, but at least I didn't lead him to suicide. He was a kind and gentle soul who yearned to be an artist, but you yelled at him because it wasn't profitable." She was later prosecuted for child abuse, criminal neglect and assisted suicide. The court ruled out she wouldn't be going to prison, but would get 4 months of house arrest and lifelong monitored probation. The court stated her punishment will be the guilty conscience of what she did to her son. She's not allowed to kill herself to take the coward's way out and will live in torment. She isn't allowed to go into hiding and must check in at a specified police station every other day. Oh my god, how incredibly sad is that? That you just, like 3 hours of sleep he got while he's studying the rest of the time, and immense pressure that's already on our children. So I can't imagine what it's like in Asian countries. I mean, children in Western schools at the moment are being pushed for harder grades more and more. Nothing compared to what they're doing like in Asian countries right now. Well, in some Asian countries, I can't generalize because I don't actually know, but I know from, I used to know a couple of Korean friends and they said that they was always pushed. They've gone back to Korea now, so I haven't seen them since. Anyway guys, thank you so much for being here. It's always appreciated. Take care now. Goodbye.